Okay, so this is not the FRS, obviously. This is my Fiesta ST. FRS hasn't gone away. I think I've just gotten tired of driving to work every day in that thing. I mean, it's it's totally a race car. I mean, it's I've built it to the point where, you know, I've taken a street car and I've taken it to the point where it's a race car, and so now it's uncomfortable. It's just too uncomfortable. I mean, it really is, and it's hard to say. You know, it's hard to say I like driving it every day, because now, not so much. It's a bit too much. And so I was like, you know what? I want to get something that I can daily drive, that's comfortable, that is fun, and is practical. So I test drove the Honda Fit, and I was like, it's very practical, extremely practical. The way the seats, I mean, they call it a Fit for a reason, because shit fits in it. It's just unbelievable. And so I drove it. It was fine. You know, it was kind of slow. And I started researching it, and, you know, they're just really, you know, it's funny how you say it's kind of slow, and it's like, well, that's the point. It's made to get good gas mileage. Well, if I'm going to be driving it every day, I want something that's at least somewhat peppy. And so the Fiesta ST came into mind, and it was like, all right, well, that's cool, but it's expensive as hell. I mean, they go for like $26,000 new, whereas the Honda Fit starts at $15,900, and it's like, that's a big jump. So I started looking into the used market, and what do you know? A used Fiesta ST goes around $15,900, and so I started saying, all right, well, if I can afford a Honda Fit, you know, why not look at the used market for a used Fiesta ST? And so I looked, and it was a couple of months. You know, I saved quite a bit of money. You know, I was getting to the point where it was like, either I keep saving and just buy it outright, or, you know, interest rates are so low. This, you know, now it's like, might as well. So I got one, yay! And so yeah, this video is going to go over the Fiesta ST from the perspective of someone who owns a boosted FRS. And what I can tell you is this car is nowhere near the FRS, even in bone stock FRS. You know what Ford did? Ford had a Fiesta, and they were like, you know what? We should make it a little bit faster. We should make it faster. Let's double the torque and increase the horsepower. And so what Ford did is, wow, what are you doing? Ford went to China, and you know those keychains with the turbos that you can blow in and they make a whistle sound? Ford found the manufacturer of those little tiny keychain turbos and stuck one in every Fiesta ST. And so what that means is, now you've got boost, just a little bit, just this hint of boost, you know. And what's funny is, this hint of boost is like 20 psi. It's a lot of boost, and because it's a keychain turbo, it spools very quickly. You know, the FRS makes peak horsepower at like, you know, way up at 7,000 RPM with my supercharger. This thing makes peak horsepower at like 3,000 RPM, and it's because of that keychain turbo that it's able to do that. Now, for a daily driver, that's absolutely perfect, because that is, when you're cruising around in the city, that's where you need power. You don't need power at 8,000 RPM. You know, what's the point? want it, you want it real early so you can use it. And that is the motto of the Fiesta, is boost you can use, basically. Did I say Miata? For some reason I might have said Fiata. And so this little car is like a Fiesta with a turbo. That's the best, the best way to describe it. It's still a Fiesta. Whereas the Focus ST is very quick. That thing, my buddy has one, and I drove it, and you guys crucified me because I said I didn't like the gas pedal. I still don't like the gas pedal. The gas pedal on this thing is like, ugh. There's so much you have to do to make it do anything. Whereas in the FRS, you just you say, hey buddy, could you go a little faster? And it's like, yeah, okay. This thing's like, okay, I guess I'll give you some more gas. Now, this thing feels fast, and that's like the title. It should be Fiesta ST. It feels fast. Is it fast? Not so much. Does it feel fast? Absolutely. It feels very fast. Because you're in a little car that shouldn't be doing what it's doing, and that's what it's doing, is building boost, and it has gobs of torque. Now I will say this Fiesta ST that I have is bone stock. I will not be tuning it. I won't be putting a bunch of shit on it, because I already have a car without a warranty with tons of power. What's the point? I want a car that I can drive day to day without having to worry about it. Would this be my only car? It's hard. I don't think I could do it, because it doesn't have the wow factor the FRS does. The FRS is just so much more peppy. See, it goes. For sure it goes. But does it go like stink? No. Like, I'm flat out. It's quick. It's a quick little shit. But is it fast? No, it's not fast. It'll get you in trouble. But it won't get you in trouble like other cars will. And typical Ford, it's a Fiesta, and I'm going to keep saying that. It comes back to the fact that this is a Fiesta. So everything inside of it feels like, Fiesta, cheap. The plastics. Now, they've done a good job with the door. The door is hard up here, but there's some soft materials, and the plastics seem to be okay. It's nothing like a Kia. God, when I test drove a Kia, I was just like, this is junk. And they want how much for it? Push button start, keyless entry, which is pretty cool. I'm not used to it. I still like keys. I'm old school, but I feel spoiled now that I don't have a key. The shifter, it feels like, it feels like you're mixing spaghetti. That's probably the best description I could say. It's like if you had a bowl of spaghetti and you were just kind of mixing it with a spoon. Now, I will say it's a little bit notchier than the Focus ST. I don't know. I only have one Focus ST to compare to, so please don't take that as like a slight to all Focus ST owners. It's the one that I drove. It just seems like this was a shorter throw and a crisper shift. I believe the transmission is exactly the same as the Focus, so take that as you will. It's probably exactly the same. It's probably just in my head. The clutch, there's like 4 inches of nothing, and then it grabs. I've been teaching Christy, my girlfriend, how to drive it, and she did really good. She didn't, she stalled a couple of times, but she's able to drive it. Now, if I put her in the FRS, she couldn't have done it, because it's like instant grab. The shifter's like 2 inches, it's just not going to happen. And so, a car like this, she can learn. So, typical Ford, leaving out a lot of things that should be in here. Driver's side window is the only one that goes automatically down. Very annoying. I mean, come on. How much would that have cost to put in? Focus has a global window, so you can unlock the car and then roll the windows down with one press of the key fob. This car, nope, can't do it. Backup camera, nope, no backup camera. Now, I did get one that's optioned. I have navigation, I have a moonroof, which I guess is okay. The moonroof is like 2 feet behind the driver, so it's really bizarre. I guess for crash testing purposes, for some reason they couldn't get the moonroof in the right space. Compared to the Focus, the moonroof is, I think the moonroof on the Focus is a little bit more forward. Because right now, my head doesn't even, it hits ceiling still. Bizarre. Now, I picked this car over the Focus because I wanted a light car. I wanted a light and small car. The Focus is not light. It's heavy for what it is. And this thing weighs 2,700 pounds, which is the same weight, as an FRS, which is fantastic. I mean, that's light. That's old light, like 90s light. So that means I get decent gas mileage if I keep my foot out of it. I'm averaging like 27 miles to the gallon, and I'm driving in the highway. Now, the other option that this car does not have is the Recaro seats. Now, I drove this car with the Recaros. I hated them. They were so uncomfortable. Like, imagine seats for a Corvette, put in a Fiesta. It doesn't make any sense. Sure, if you're autocrossing this and you're tracking it, maybe, but whoever decided, hey, you know what, we need to go with the most aggressive Recaros we can find to put in this, just needs to be shot, because they were just ridiculously uncomfortable. And that's saying a lot, because I daily drove an FRS, and I think the FRS is one of the few cars that has stock seats with bolstering that did it right. They managed to mix bolstering with comfortable and hit that perfect threshold of it'll hold you in the seat, if you're tracking the car, but it won't kill you if you're on a long road trip. And this car just kind of went, screw that, we want you to be absolutely perfect in the seat, 100% if you're on the track, and then screw everything else. Now, if you notice, it's quiet in here. It's unbelievably quiet. I can have a conversation, I can whisper, and people can hear me. And the FRS can't. You can't do that. Even a bone stock one, it's just so loud. And how this car has 4 doors, a back seat, and 2,700 pounds, and somehow it has sound deadening, it just blows my mind. The steering on this car is a little soft. And when I say soft, I mean it feels, like you could turn the wheel and bust the wheels off and not know it. It's better than the Mustang was, my 2011 Mustang, and that was a pump. That wasn't electric steering. I'm pretty sure this is electric steering. They did a pretty good job with it. I kind of wish there was like a sport mode where it kind of dumbed it down a little bit, but again, this is my daily driver. If it was your only car, then I'd be making much more of a stink. It's nice to have buttons on the remote, or buttons on the steering wheel. I mean, that's kind of cool. All these little amenities in the FRS that I didn't have, and now it's like, man, this is a Lexus, even though it's a Fiesta. Overall, I'm really excited with it. I think it's a great little car. It's quick. The seats go down most of the way. It's a hatchback, so you can take stuff with you. You know, you can sort of comfortably fit 4 adults. Whereas if you were in the FRS, they better be dead, because otherwise they're going to be complaining the whole time. It has a turbo, you know, so passing people on the highway isn't like a Russian roulette where you're worried if you're going to get killed or not. You don't have to downshift into second to pass somebody on the highway. Another thing is, this thing is nice on the highway. I'm really surprised. You know, it seems to eat up the miles, and it gets great gas mileage, and yeah, it gets blown around a little bit, you know, because it's a lightweight car, and it's, you know, it's got 4 doors, so that doesn't help, and it sits kind of high. But, you know, I think it's great on the highway. Now, that's coming from somebody with an FRS. Now, if you came from like a BMW or, you know, some sort of other big sedan, this thing might feel like, you know, a panel van going down the road, because it sits kind of high, the wind affects it more, and it's lightweight. I can hoon this car, you know. I'm not Ken Block, you know, so I'm not out there just doing donuts and ain't carrying it, but I can have fun. And that's the key. You want to have fun. You want to have fun while you drive. You don't want to drive something that's just so incredibly boring that you want to kill yourself every time you get in the car, you know. And that's the key. And I think if I bought a Honda Fit, I'd just be like, yeah, I'm getting to work, but I'm getting to work in the most sterile, boring, you know, way possible. I might as well have just a Camry, and you know, it's like the Camry is the console gamer of cars, you know. And the nice thing is, this car, it kind of goes under the radar. People don't really realize, hey, this thing has over 200 pound-feet of torque. You know, oh, it's just this little piece of shit Fiesta next to me. And it's like, well, yeah, a little bit, but at least it's got that Keychain turbo and can kind of move faster than a brick. Now, because the Keychain turbo is so small, you know, once you get up past 5, it's like, it just can't do it, because it's already, you know, creating a vacuum with how fast it's spinning. Case in point. But next gear, you're back in it. You know, it's not a race car. Not a race car. Nope. It's a great little car. It's fun to drive. And I'm sure I've been rambling a little bit, but you know what? I haven't made a video in a while. Got something else to drive, so I figured I'd talk about it over and over again. Has a decent induction sound. You know, it does that stupid shit where they pump in sounds from the cabin. And I always hate that. It's like, could you not, car manufacturers, could you not pump in sounds? You know, you've made cars so quiet that now you pump in sounds into the cabin because, God forbid, you own a stick shift car and you don't know where you are on the RPM spectrum. But please don't rear end me. But the induction sound is pretty nice. So there's kind of like an asterisk there, you know. I hate that, but it sounds nice, you know. Kind of a hypocrite, but what are you going to do? There's absolutely zero exhaust sound from this car. It's all induction sound. So And to be honest, I don't like any of the exhausts on this car because it's an inline 4 with a turbocharger. It just sounds... It sounds like a fart. It's just... Nope, don't like that sound. Not a fan. And I won't be putting an exhaust on this because it's my daily driver. If I wanted something loud, I'd take the FRS to work. And even then, the FRS is just so ridiculous that it's like I drive it once a weekend. I'm like, yep, had my fill of loud exhaust. Can go back to having eardrums and getting rid of tinnitus. But let's face it, we love the sound of that Boxer, the Brap. It's just amazing how quiet this car is. Maybe it's because I've been in such a loud car for the past 3 years that now I'm driving a real standard car that's not a race car, that's not like stripped down, that I'm just blown away that, you know, it sounds like a normal vehicle. This is how all cars normally sound. Maybe. I don't know. This thing won't win any races, but once gas prices start coming back up, yeah, that's when the value of this car is going to, you know, go up. Well, I think that about covers it with this car. I mean, it's fun to drive. It was affordable when I bought it. You know, I got it for cheaper than... I got it at the dealer. I got it cheaper than... Out the door, I got it cheaper than what they wanted on the sticker. They probably made nothing on it. I mean, it's a fun little car. I don't see too many of them. All I see are Focus STs. It seems like that's all anybody drives is a Focus ST. Tangerine Scream. I got this one in black. I really didn't want black. Every used car in 500 miles was black. It's like, do they come in any other color? I really wanted the green. I don't know what it's called. It's like ridiculous green. It's like a super bright color. But then I was like, you know, if I got it in that color, then it's going to stick out and kind of defeat the purpose of having a daily driver that's just like in camouflage. And with it being black and a hatchback, it kind of blends in. Oh, you sons of bitches. I want to turn here. Oh, I wonder if I can fit. Oh, I can fit. Look at that. Bonus of having a tiny little car. Come on, Kia. Now it does have a tiny bit of torque steer, which is something I didn't cover. This car is wrong wheel drive. It is not rear wheel drive, it's front wheel drive. I hate front wheel drive. But since every car seems to only come in front wheel drive, you know, you kind of have to pick your battles. And let's face it, I'm not going to get a Focus RS or a Golf R, so rear wheel drive or all wheel drive just wasn't going to happen. So the torque steer on this car, it's like, it kind of has a little bit of torque steer. And then the Focus ST, it's like, you got to have lumberjack forearms because it just seems like it's dancing all over the place. It's like, oh, geez, oh, I want to be in this lane. Nope, I want to be in this lane. You know, and this one, it's just like, okay, we're just kind of drifting a little bit. And then once you get it under control, it's like, okay, we're good. I got that out of my system. You know, it's like an angsty teen that's just like, you don't want to be in this lane. And it's just like, shut up, stay in this lane. and you kind of get used to it. You know, one thing I really don't like about the stock tune is it seems like they're limiting boost in first gear. It feels like you've got boost in second gear, just crazy boost. 22 PSI or some bullshit. First gear, it's like, we'll only give you a little bit. And maybe they're doing that to keep you from blowing the tires off. You know, to keep you from just absolutely spinning tires constantly. But it just bugs me. And I'm not going to tune just to get more oomph in first gear. You know, like, that's the last thing I need, is to be just blowing the tires off every day going to work. But it bothers me because there's a noticeable increase in boost in second gear that is missing in first. All right, Fiesta ST Vlog 1. I'm going to start it over because these are going to be separate vlogs. It's going to be the Fiesta Vlog, FRS Vlogs coming up next whenever I get to it. Just haven't been driving it because I've been driving this pissant around. And it's been fun. It's a fun little car. All right. That was a long video. It's like 37 minutes, 27 minutes. But, as always, thank you for watching. Subscribe and like for more videos. I'll be the YouTube whore. Seems like every YouTuber is like, please subscribe. Do it. Do it for the views. Alright. Peace out.